Hello, welcome back to another Deck Tech. Today we're taking a look at the modern format. And right now this is a Grixis deck that is not based around the traditional, Grixis deck that's being played right now, mostly with Thought Scours, Gurmag Anglers, and Tassigers. I kind of went to like a more old school route, and I wanted to focus on the main, the main old school killer Cruel Ultimatum. And we got some. I'm gonna do the whole entire deck tech of this deck. Take this to a modern tournament tonight. And probably when I get back, I'll probably upload another video, let you guys know how I did. But the overall objective of this deck is not that much different than any other pretty much control deck. Basically, we try to control the board, survive until the late game, and try to win through Cruel Ultimatum. We have some unusual card choices like Thragtusk and Snapcaster Mages. So we're gonna go through. We're gonna go through each card by card, real quick. And I'm gonna start with the spells first. 3 Serum Visions. I originally had 4, but I had to shave a card. I had to shave some cards to make some room for some other cards. But I still like 3. I like it actually. I actually like it better than Think Twice. The reason being is that you could do it on turn 1, and I like the Scry 2 better than drawing the extra card. Our sideboard is a bunch of one-ofs, and the Scry actually helps dig for our sideboard cards much better. We got 2 Mana Leak and 1 Remand. I kind of like the split because it makes it tough for our opponent to play around like certain cards or how they're going to play their cards. Originally I had 3 Remands, but the burn matchup was pretty bad. So I decided to add 2 Mana Leaks. So, I mean, it could still be, properly adjusted depending on what your meta is and stuff like that. 3 Cryptic Commands, pretty self-explanatory. One of the best counter spells in Modern. Spell Snare, it's another one of those cards that's very difficult for our opponent to play around. And keep in mind that all these spells could be flashback to Snapcaster Mage. Coalition Relic gives us some mana acceleration. It also helps us fight against Blood Moon. Blood Moon's a very popular sideboard card choice against these kind of decks. Also makes Cruel Ultimatum, helps cast Cruel Ultimatum a little easier. And then going on to Cruel Ultimatum, pretty much you guys know what this card does. It's pretty self-explanatory. Once you cast it, depending on what kind of board state you're in, you're usually going to win the game. Then we're going on to our spot removal. 4 Lightning Bolt, pretty much best red card in Modern, obviously. 2 Main Deck Damnation. This is a card that a lot of people don't expect to walk in. That's why I like playing these kind of cards. Very good right now against the Elves matchup. It's just basically a very good catch-all. Like I said, they don't see it. They don't see this card coming at all, and then if you get hit them with a well-timed Damnation, they just can't really recover after that. Kolaghan's Command. I like this over Electrolyze because it gives you more modes to choose from. All the modes are very, very good. Destroying the artifact and dealing 2 damage is always a 2-for-1 against Affinity. Making them discard a card helps fights the control and combo matchups. And the Shock always kills like a bothersome creature, so... it also brings back our Mole Drifter, which I like a lot. It brings back our Snapcaster Mages and our Thragtusk, which is always good. And then 4 Terminate kills pretty much anything. Pretty much self-explanatory. And then we have our discard suite, which helps us fight the unfair matchups. We got 2 Inquisition, 2 Thoughtseize, which I think I actually like in main deck because being that this deck is a very, very fair, modern deck, has no crazy combos or nothing like that. This is what kind of is the bread of our butter, you know what I'm saying? Helps fight all those, helps fight the Primeval Titan deck, combo deck, very good against Splinter Twin. Overall, just very good. And then our creatures could be somewhat changed around, but so far I've been pretty happy. 3 Snapcaster Mages, obviously, arguably the best blue creature in Modern. Nothing more to say than that. Has Flash. It flashes back all these good spells. The Mole Drifter is good because you could evoke it early, bring it back with Kolaghan's Command in the late game. You could hard cast it, and it could block man lands and Affinity, Infect, all that kind of stuff. And then Thragtusk It's a surprising new addition in this kind of deck. The reason is because I think Burn is very popular right now. The Zoo matchups are very, very popular. They've been having some really, really good results in lately from what I've been seeing. And Thragtusk fights these matchups very well because it gains you the 5 life. And then they have to deal with the 5/3. And then when it leaves play, you can actually get a 3/3 beast behind. And in the late game, you can bounce it back with Cryptic Command, recast it, get it back with Cruel Ultimatum, and then eventually this guy will help you stabilize and get to the late game. Let's take a look at our lands here. That makes everything work. We got our 8 fetch lands here: 4 Polluted Delta, 4 Scalding Tarn, and then we have some shock lands. We got a Blood Crypt, a Breeding Pool, a Watery Grave, and 2 Steam Vents. Now we have the 1 Breeding Pool to help us cast our Thragtusk. That's what it's there for. And you can get the Breeding Pool with any we could get with our 8 fetch lands here. And we got 5 basic lands, because, you always have to be aware of Blood Moon. 3 islands, 1 swamp, 1 mountain, 4 Creeping Tar Pit is another win condition. And then 2 Blackcleave Cliffs. This probably could go up to 4. I'm not sure what I would cut, though. Helps us cast our discard spells on turn 1. Also helps us cast our Lightning Bolt on turn 1 if we need to kill a creature on turn 1. So we have 24 lands and then 2 Coalition Relics. So technically the deck has 26 mana sources. And then moving on here, we're going onto our sideboard. So like I said, the sideboard is really just a bunch of 1-ofs. One of the worst matchups is Tron, and I don't know if 2 Sowing Salt is good enough, but I think it's a good start. So Sowing Salt also deals with, bothersome man lands if you need to deal with man lands, or just, if you're lucky enough, you could exile, like, say, the Valakut out of Scapeshift. Let's see, we got Slaughter Games. Basically against any kind of like troublesome combo decks, which are very, very bad against us because they just go over the top. So Slaughter Games good against Splinter Twin, good against Scapeshift, good against Tron. You can hit some of their Planeswalkers with it. Counterflux, another card that a lot of people don't see coming. Good against Control Mirrors. Basically, when you want to try to resolve one of your big spells. Dispel I like because it counters a lot of removal spells that you want to try to protect your creatures from. Also good against any kind of like, Cryptic Command, Spell Snare, Mana Leak. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Dispel hits a lot of stuff right now. Olivia Voldaren, I wanted to give her a shot. Very good in the late game. Stealing creatures, dealing damage. Good against Affinity, Infect. Small creature decks like Elves. You could probably replace it with the Izzet Staticaster, but I just wanted to try the Olivia Voldaren because it is a threat. 3/3 flying that gets bigger, and it steals creatures, so I just wanted to give that a shot. Vendilion Click against any kind of like, it's a threat that has flash, allows you to, put on the bottom any kind of like bothersome card. Also against in your deck, if you have the Cruel Ultimatum early in your opening hand, you can use this to put it on the bottom of your hand and pretty much just cycle it. So I think it's overall it's very good. I also bring it in against Infect. It's a 3/1 and Affinity because it's a 3/1 flyer, blocks demand lands, whatnot, and all that good stuff. Pithing Needle, I had Dreadbore in this spot, but I put Pithing Needle in the spot. Basically just a way to deal with Planeswalkers such as Liliana the Veil. That card is very, very good against us. Bring it in against Tron. Pithing Needle, one of their Planeswalkers, or you could, name the Oblivion Stone. That way you don't get, die to Oblivion Stone early. So, I mean, I think it's just overall it's very versatile. Ashiok is another surprising new addition. I like it against Primeval Titan combo deck. You start exiling all their lands, and it's hard for them to actually search for things. Good in any kind of like attrition-based kind of like matchup. I think it's just a nice random catch-all that people don't see coming. You could also bring it in like heavy creature decks if you could like somehow protect it, with your counter magic and your cryptic commands, and I think Ashiok could do some serious work. Liliana the Veil, good against the hexproof decks, good against control mirrors, combo decks, being able to start discarding a lot of the cards out of their hand. Just overall very, very good. Anger of the Gods, good against, affinity, random creature decks. Also good because of the exile. Engineered Explosives, kind of like the same thing. Affinity mostly. It can kill Blood Moon, if it's very troublesome, but overall it's a nice catch-all. Vandal Blast, another good card for affinity. The reason why I'm playing Vandal Blast over Shatterstorm is because Shatterstorm kills our artifacts, so I figured I might as well just run Vandal Blast. And then we got a Spellskite, very, very good in this modern format right now. The list goes on and on and on. Against affinity, if you have this out, and if they have their Arcbound Ravager, they can't put the counters on the creatures because you could redirect it to Spellskite. It also protects against Galvanic Blast, and against, good against Boggles, the hexproof deck. Also good against Infect. So that way you could, instead of them, you could put all the pump spells onto your Spellskite. And then last but not least, we got one Keranos. Very good against the Jund decks, the Grixis decks. If you have a good board state and you have this in play long enough, it'll deal a lot of damage or draw a lot of cards. So which is all very good. So overall, I have been play testing the deck a lot, and it does surprisingly have like a really good matchup against the